I was watching an interesting interview just now with a guy called Rory Sutherland, and he was being interviewed on the Diary of a CEO podcast. That's Stephen Bartlett, and I'm fairly interested in this guy Rory Sutherland, and I've seen videos with him. He has some interesting ideas, and at one point, Stephen Bartlett brings out one of their sponsors for this podcast, and it's called Huel, Huel, and Huel is a nutritionally complete drink. It's not. It's not nutritionally complete because you can't create a processed nutritionally complete anything. The idea that you add all the vitamins into it and all the minerals into it that we need and the essential amino acids and the fatty acids and stuff into a processed version of something doesn't make it nutritionally complete. I don't know. I mean, firstly, you need to have the amount of calories. You need to have those calories from simple sugars, which you won't have, for it to be technically nutritionally complete for humans. And you need to have fiber. It would have to be a complete food. So it's not a complete. Anyway, that's not the point I want to make. It's not a nutritionally complete food. Um, it can't be. So they were talking about the flavor of it, and they were talking about branding and all this stuff and the story of a brand and all these things. And they were talking about this Huel product and the flavor of it. And one of them said it's not quite Nesquik. And I'm assuming a lot of people know what Nesquik is, but if you don't, Nesquik was a drink you would add milk and stir. And it was a very sweet drink. You know, it was like you could have chocolate or like a milkshake, basically. Sort of a milkshake drink that you would just make at home. And, you know, it was delicious, sweet flavor. And what they were saying, you know, this wasn't that, but it wasn't a bad flavor. But the argument that they were making was that if it tasted better, then people wouldn't believe the claim that it was nutritionally complete. And then they went on to say that some other drinks and different things have intentionally a medicinal flavour because of certain claims they're making, or have a slightly sour or bitter flavour. Apparently, Diet Coke needs to taste a bit like sour or bitter compared to normal Coke, when they could apparently make it taste better. But it's in order for people to believe the claim that it is actually, you know, doesn't have any calories or whatever. And that just struck me straight away. As anyone who's a fruit lover, fruit eater, should hear that and be struck by that, because it makes a lot of sense in how people look at fruit. We have been so programmed over the years of life experience not to associate health with flavor, with, you know, something that tastes good to something that is healthy. We assume that for some reason something that is medicinal, i.e., doesn't taste as good, we associate some kind of health benefit to that or healing benefit, and something that is not as sweet as well to more likely to be nutritionally complete, ironically. And that just struck me, you know, that is how people look at it. That is how people think about it, I think. And when people think about getting their nutrition, they don't think about fruit. Fruit is so undervalued. And the sad thing is that the whole story of fruit doesn't get told enough, because the fruit companies the way that they work, there's no one invested in putting that story out there, in marketing fruit to people, and trying to get people to eat more fruit. There's really no one really trying to do that in a big way. There's a, maybe you could say the health authorities or the government, but that's like nothing. It's really nothing compared to what the major fast food companies are able to do and able to put out. It's um, it's not anywhere close. And anyway, the government and health, they don't tell the story of it. They just say, yeah, you should eat more fruit, or 5 pieces of fruit a day, 5 pieces of fruit and vegetable a day. It doesn't not any real explanation of it, you know. And I've always I've mentioned this a couple of times, but it's not like the Illuminati or whatever. It's just that who's going to get any value from people buying more fruit? What company? You might think, well, the fruit companies like Dole and Chiquita Bananas and all these companies, and yeah, they would, but at the same time, their competitors would as well, and like anyone could just grow their own fruit to some degree, not everywhere, but so it's almost like they don't have an incentive to do that. And fruit's just something, it's just there. I mean, bananas at one point were marketed and promoted, but the whole way that the fruit industry seems to work is it's all about trying to get a monopoly on being able to supply it and distribute it as cheaply as possible, at as high volume as possible. So you have these huge banana companies or whatever. They have all the plantations on Costa Rica or whatever it is, and they supply all the supermarkets around the world. And um, they don't necessarily really care about more. They are selling more all the time. Like the population goes up, so they sell more, and that's all they really, care about, I guess. All I'm trying to say is we don't have a lot of adverts saying talking to you about buying fruit, talking to you about the health benefits of fruit, and therefore we see things like Huel, which is promoted. People say nutritionally complete, and people are buying into that, and people are eating a. I don't know how many people eat a Huel type of a diet or whatever, or drink a lot of Huel, or eat just Huel for 30 days or whatever it is. But it's probably more than the amount of people who are eating a fruit based diet. And, it's just so funny, this idea. And people have become so divorced from the idea that in nature, and when it comes to health, everything that is truly healthy in nature for us feels good to us and is good for us. So that's just something I've been thinking about. So how do we change that, I suppose? And I would ask you to think, do you still have that in your head? That if you're eating fruit, I remember giving a persimmon to my auntie, and she'd never eaten a persimmon in her life. People go throughout their whole life, they never eat these things, never try these things. Most people go through their life, they never eat a persimmon, they never eat a cherimoya, they never eat durian, jackfruit. Never try any of these things, never think to, never even curious. No advertising for it. So I gave it to her, she tried it, she liked it. She really liked it. I asked her if she wanted another one, I had loads of them. But she was kind of like, no, I couldn't possibly eat another. I'm not even sure if she ate the full thing. She maybe had a few bites or something. And she enjoyed it, but like she didn't. It was almost like, I can't have too much of a good thing. Something like that. That'll do something bad. And that's the kind of connection a lot of people have in their mind. We need to remove that connection for people. This idea, that idea. We need to remove that idea basically. So, how do we do that? I don't exactly know, but we need people to realize that health is simpler than medicinal drinks and herbs and things like that, and medicinal products. I'm not against medicine. There's definitely times where it needs to be used. But for the average person, their main health issues are mostly lifestyle and diet related and can be changed radically with a fruit based diet. And if you're interested in learning more, then obviously you can subscribe to this channel. Share with me some comments below if you like. Join us on Friday, Fruity Fridays with Dr. Doug Graham, and we'll see you all soon.